Let's go back to Jessica. Jessica, can you hear us? Good afternoon, Jessica. Well, when we talk about this historic day, tell us the key highlights that unfolded as you were present at Hyderabad House, because this is a huge moment for India and European Union, not only in terms of trade deal, but for a 360-degree development of the country.
Well, it's an important free trade agreement, negotiations that have now concluded. It was important for both India and the European Union to sort of be on this path. The talks, as you know, had begun in 2007, and the complete resumption of the FTA negotiations started in 2022, and it picked up momentum over the last 1 year. So you see the kind of importance and the relevance that has been given to it, given the geo-economic environment we're living in. There are tariff wars to navigate, different alliances that the world is now looking at. And in that sense, both India and the European Union have found common ground and also common values on which they principally operate and conduct their trade on. So perhaps that has created room for both to now energize their relationship, take it forward from $136 billion trade in goods to now India being part of the Horizon Europe initiative, which would then see India's integration into the European Union trade framework even further. The collaborations you talk about, both the European Union Chief Ursula von der Leyen, as well as the European Council President António Costa, they both reiterated how important India is a partner when it comes to such difficult moments that Europe has dealt with in the last 1 week, not just in Davos, but also the deepening crisis in the transatlantic relationship has made room for both, in a sense, to sort of come together and look at the synergies they're working on. And they do have definite plans, but these FTA negotiations that have been concluded, now they could take a lot more time in signing, because that would take the European Parliament to ratify it and then the European Council to give its assent. And before it goes to the European Parliament, it will also go through some legal scrubbing and all kinds of scrutiny when it comes to the member nations, the 27 member nations of the European Union, who would be looking very closely to all the aspects of this deal. But so far, you do have consensus on this deal. There's still some more things to iron out between the two, but net, it does seem to be looking like it would benefit both India and EU in the long run if it continues on the current trajectory that it's on.
Also tell us about the key MOUs which have been exchanged.
Right, so of course the first one being the conclusion of free trade agreements, the second of course in the strategic and defence partnership. Now there was an emphasis by both the EU Council Chief and the EU Commissioner on how important partnership in security and defence is, given that the two countries would trade more than they did in the coming future. So security, of course, is important alongside that, and to that they have talked about even counter-terrorism, maritime security, and also sharing classified information on certain aspects. So that is a lot of coordination and perhaps joint effort, so to say, in the security and defence partnership, and also not to forget the industrial defence sort of collaboration, the details of which will be known in a short period of time when we hear the presser from all the EU and the Indian delegates, who would perhaps be giving us more ideas about or details about these aspects of it. But that being said, you also have the mobility pact, which would then ensure Indian students, Indian workers, high-skilled workers, who'd now be able to access the EU's great and vast education system, as well as the workforce. And if you see, in the last 1 decade alone, more than 20% of the blue passports or the blue work visa that has been provided to Indians. I'm forgetting the technical term for it, but it's a blue booklet that is provided for a long-term stay and work in the EU, in the Eurozone. And perhaps that has helped Indians quite a bit. And with the intake of more students, science students in AI and as well as other technologies is gradually increasing to the European Union because of the more defined and reliable educational hubs that it offers, and also to enhance the workforce mobility. So this pact somehow would also ensure that there is easier access to the markets. And apart from that, you also heard about partnerships in various other domains, be it AI as well as sustainable development that Europe has been wanting to work with India for a very long time.
So you talked about the EU blue card there, but also there is an important establishment which have been announced by von der Leyen that talks about the first EU legal gateway in India. What does that mean for the country?
Well, it is essential. As I pointed out, Indians have been the biggest recipients of that benefit. And looking at how it has evolved over the years, European Union collectively, of course, has now decided that there needs to be more that has to be done to that effect. And I'm afraid details of that we'll find out a bit more later in the presser. And apologies, Deepika, I don't have the information that the officials are about to tell us in the presser in about an hour and a half later.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for bringing us all the latest.